in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane.
Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier in the bike industry, I was less than 24 hours away from filming my long-term review on my State All-Road 4130. When I'm scrolling through social media, and what do I see? State releases a brand new version of the All-Road 4130. So that changes my plans a little bit. And now I have one, and we are gonna take a look at it. I'm really excited about this bike, guys. You know, I do one mountain bike video last week, and I'm right back into gravel. But that's okay, because State just dropped a tiny little hint. They're doing a mountain bike, and it looks really good. And I am so pumped to ride that thing when it comes out. I'm just excited to get some more info about it. It looks gorgeous. Look at this thing. Crazy, right? So I was riding the All-Road 4130 since August, and I absolutely fell in love with that bike. That was my first steel frame gravel bike. I have not ridden steel since my BMX days, so it's been at least 15 years. But the steel frame paired with the 650B wheels, it was just the most comfortable thing I have ever ridden on gravel. And then Primo Cycles sent me that Dame, also steel frame, also 650B wheels. I thought that thing was pretty impressive, also very comfortable. And now I have this thing, and this thing is ridiculous. They did so many good upgrades to this thing. It's really impressive. And in today's video, I'm gonna go through all those details. You know what, before we get into this, you guys see that chair over there in the corner all by itself? I know you know what that chair is called. 92% of you are not subscribed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, get out of the cuck chair, and join the fun. So as you guys can see, I did not get 650B wheels with this bike. Unfortunately, they were sold out of the raw, which I had to have, in medium, which I guess you could say I also had to have. So 700C is what I went with. I have 650B wheels. I actually have multiple sets, so I'll throw those on there at some point because like I said, I really love the 650Bs. I'm okay with riding 700s for a while. They did some updates to these wheels, so I'm gonna try those.
A few things I wanted to mention on the State wheel and tire packages. The wheels themselves are tubeless compatible. That means you can set them up to be tubeless, but you will need compatible tires, which the 700Cs are, but the 650B Vittoria Barzos are not. As well as tubeless valves, tape, and sealant, which are all available on State's website. I also really wanted to share some personal experience on the Vittoria Barzo tires. They do look extremely aggressive for an all-road bike. Visually, I'd say they look bulky and slow, but that just isn't the case. The Barzo is probably my new favorite gravel tire. The speed and grip is unbelievable, and I'm actually considering putting these on my mountain bike.
All right, I guess I should probably talk about some of the updates because they did some substantial updates to this thing. So let's get into that stuff right now. We'll start off with the biggest one, and that's the drivetrain. Let's go take a look. So they really did overhaul the entire drivetrain front to back. The new crank is a dub bottom bracket. This thing looks really good, really sturdy. New chainring. These are CNC machined narrow wide. They went down from a 42 tooth on the old version to a 40 tooth now, which I think is a really smart idea. This chainring looks awesome, by the way. And then at the back, the derailleur looks pretty similar. I don't see too many changes other than the fact that it says G12, indicating that it is a 12-speed now. And then, like I said, 12-speed cassette. This thing looks really badass. I wanted to quickly say, you know, the first time I rode a State, I wasn't super impressed with the drivetrain, with the State drivetrain. And then they made a few updates, mostly to the rear derailleur, how much noise it was making, how much slap there was. They put more of a real clutch on it. And now I would say it is, without a doubt, the best budget drivetrain. And that's not me, you know, hyping them up because I work with State a little bit. It legitimately, for the price, I think it is one of the best budget drivetrains on the market. It's a great working system for the price. Just look at this frame. Raw steel is so badass. I love it. I'm sure it doesn't look as good on camera as it does in person, but the whole thing is gorgeous. I got these brass anodized bottle cages on here. These are from State. They look amazing with these brazes on here. It kind of matches and it looks really good. As far as the frame goes, there was some updates. They added a few more mounting points on here, and the big one, if you can tell, is semi-internal routing, which is pretty cool. There's also a port down here, so now you can run a dropper post. Geometry-wise, I don't think it changed it at all. I was looking at the geometry charts and it looks pretty much identical. So I don't think any of that has changed. Shoot, I almost forgot to mention there is a big upgrade to this frame, and that is we are now UDH compatible. So if you're not aware, UDH is Universal Derailleur Hanger. It's a new standard from SRAM. I think it's a really smart idea of State to bring that technology to this bike. They did it pretty quickly. A lot of brands haven't even brought it yet, but the whole industry is going in that direction, so cool upgrade. All right, so this is actually a pretty big one. What we have here is probably the solution that State has been looking for years. If you go on Reddit and people are talking about States, you very often hear that their brakes are not the best. And I've experienced that. I had to do a lot of chasing to figure out exactly what was going on. So State finally decided to squash all of those comments. We have a brand new brake system. These are compressionless cables with hydraulic calipers. That's right, hydraulic mechanical system. I think this is really the answer to all of their problems. This is a State branded hydraulic caliper system. They've had this out for a while, but now it is spec'd on these bikes. And just by feeling the lever, I think this is the solution to all of their problems. And I'm excited to try this whole system because I think they finally nailed it. So one of the big things is they changed the wheels now. You're now going from a 28 spoke wheel to 32 spoke. They put 4 bearings in the rear hub as opposed to 2, and my favorite, they made them wider. So now the 700C rims are 23 millimeter internal. I believe it's up from 21, and the 650 is now a 25 millimeter. And you know what? Let's spin this bad boy so you can hear it because it sounds awesome. I don't know how I'm gonna hold this. Here, we'll put this down. That sounds really pretty. Those hikers are going to hear me coming like a swarm of bees now. Another big change is they added more flare to the handlebars. This is now a 33-degree flare. And I'm going to be honest, this is actually my least favorite update to the bike. I know more flare, people like that. I actually do not like it. They are comfortable in the drops, but the problem for me is just every super wide flare handlebar feels weird on the levers. It's just the way it is. It kicks these things out. I don't like how they operate. It's not State. It's just the way the industry went. I like their old handlebars more. I think they were like a 15-degree flare. They were perfect for me. Like I said, these are very comfortable in the drops. It is more comfortable with the wide flare. It's just the levers feel so weird and awkward. But I thought I'd mention it because a lot of people do like the wide flares. So to each their own, I guess. And although they may not be my favorite thing, I'm still going to ride these handlebars. I'm not going to swap them out. I'm going to see if I can get used to them over time, and maybe I'll find some benefits that change my mind. I also thought they went with a longer stem, and then I looked it up, and it turns out they didn't. It's the same thing. I don't know what's going on. It's a 100 millimeter stem. I have this Black Label stem, which apparently is 90 millimeters, so a little bit shorter, and I think I'm going to swap that out because I think I'll be slightly more comfortable with this one. Also, personal preference thing. So with all these big awesome changes, I wanted to know if they buried any little changes that just went very unnoticed. And I went through the whole bike to try and find some, and really the only thing that I found was they changed the seat post. And what they did here was they switched to a 2-bolt design, but the seat post doesn't really matter to me because, as some of you may know, I'm gonna go with my Transix jump seat dropper post. I love this thing. It goes on all of my bikes. It's cableless, so it's super quick to just swap out. The all-road seat stayed the same too, which is nice. This is a very comfortable seat. This is one of the few that I don't have to swap out. My butt appreciates it, and I'm sure yours will too.
Don't forget the best part about buying a bike from State, which is how customizable they are when you order. They give you so many options to choose from, like wheel upgrades, drivetrain upgrades, pedals, seats, and even forks, from carbon to suspension. It's pretty wild and makes it fun to build out your own factory package. My biggest dislike about the new bike is that as a content creator, I don't want to use phrases like the best bike under $1,000. The bike costs $999, still an amazing value. So let's just say it's without a doubt the best bike for $1,000. The updates kind of put this thing in a league of its own. State put in the work, and I think they deserve a ton of credit for bringing this much bike to a market where buyers are hungry for modern specs at value prices.
All right, guys, well, I think that's about it for today. I'm excited to ride this thing, so I'm gonna get it bagged up. I'm gonna go burn some tires and some oil to hopefully warm things up so I can go ride. Very much looking forward to riding this thing. Like I said, the last version was one of my all-time favorite gravel bikes I've ever ridden. I can't imagine this is gonna be any different because it's practically the same bike. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions, and maybe I'll do another follow-up on this, especially after I get a few miles. So appreciate it, guys, and I'll see you next time.